Hey everybody, and welcome. I'm Trevor, and I'm going to be presenting today. We are talking about Twitter again, and this is sort of the second part, part two. Last week we did one on Twitter, taught you guys the basics. I'm going to follow up because last week went a little fast, and I want to do it again, and I want to talk more in detail about Twitter. So some of you guys have come back having set up accounts. Maybe have a little bit of experience now on Twitter, right? You've got your own account, your own personal account. Again, this is more Twitter basics for the average user. I know a lot of you guys are business owners and you want to use Twitter to help promote your business, and I completely understand that, but let's learn how to use the basics and the fundamentals of it, and then you can better use it as a business. We'll be doing business Twitter presentations here shortly, here over the next few weeks, okay? So I'm sitting on my account right now real quick, just to review from last week, and especially for those of you guys who weren't here previously, I want to take a couple of notes with you. We'll do this real quick, and then we'll practice, and we'll have some fun with it. But I want to get you guys to try to define Twitter for me. Define it. What is, if somebody in the street said, what in the world is Twitter? How would you respond to that? It's not easy to define. I don't think. I actually sat and thought about it, and then I looked up what Twitter thinks it is, like Twitter itself defined itself. So I'm curious what you guys would say. What is Twitter? Okay, it's social media. All right, I'll take that. It's you know, a social network or social media. Yeah. Okay. In other words, it's a platform where you can be social. It's like a Facebook, I guess. Communication. It's access to a smaller world. That's an interesting definition, Kirk. I would say so. Okay, Laura, you say social media allows you to follow people. People can follow you. You can write to people or tweet. Okay, that's a definition that we'll look at. Twitter itself calls it an information network. So I thought that was interesting. So not only a social network, but it's an information network. Twitter is just chock full of tons of information. I can't remember the number exactly, but I think we defined it last week. We said there was like 300 or 350 million people that are active on Twitter that are publishing things left and right. So it's just this huge conglomerate of information. Tweets are sort of at the core of this, right? A tweet is what, guys? How many characters can you have if you do a tweet? I know it sounds kind of stupid, right? I always laugh a little bit when somebody tries to take themselves really seriously, like on a news network. They're on CNN or they're on Fox News, and they're like, "Hey, this just in, you know, such and such source just tweeted," and it's like, "What? That's where you're getting your information, right?" And you know, they're saying it all serious. It's kind of funny, but it's 140. Yeah, 140 is the number. There you go. 140 characters. How long is 140 characters? Not long, right? 140 characters goes fast. Okay. And I would say, I mean, what is it? I think one way and then this is kind of what Twitter described itself as, says it's an easy way to get news about what you care about. Okay? Which I really like. This is kind of why I use Twitter on a personal level. You can have news and information that's happening real time tailored to your interests. And that's why it's interesting, or at least one reason why it's interesting to me. Okay, so let's talk about this. Why is it useful? Okay, why would people use Twitter? Why is it useful for you? I mean, you guys, some of you guys have been on it now for a week or so. Has it been useful? And if so, tell me why. If not, I'd be curious to hear why it's not useful to you either. This is usually the part where people who are skeptics or don't really like using it or have never used it before, that, if I were to ask them why is it useful, they'd be like, well, it's not. That's why I'm not on it. I don't see any reason for it. It's sort of like it's kind of like a watered down Facebook. I hear that a lot. Yeah, to stay abreast of the news, stay on top of what you're interested in. I agree, Angela, for sure. It's real time too. So because so many news agencies and financial institutions, sporting events, local events, a lot of things, a lot of organizations and activities and whatever, they have a Twitter account. They can post things on Twitter real time, and that's how you get updates about things. A good example of that, I remember years ago when this was a lot of years ago. It was when one of the early iPhones was coming out onto the market for the first time. Like one of the new iPhone releases, and it was supposed to come out and be available for pre-order at a certain time. And I stayed up. I was ready to pre-order mine because I wanted to be one of the first ones to get it, because I was going to turn around and resell it and try to make some money off of it. So I got on and I was ready for the pre-order, and it wasn't working. The website, the Apple website, wasn't working at all. It was crashing, and nobody knew what was going on until Apple sent out a tweet on their Twitter account that just said, "Hey, by the way, we're aware there's some technical issues. We're looking into it. It should be fixed in the next 15 minutes." And then it was like, okay, well, good. I mean, that news would have been really hard to get any other way, but if you followed Apple on Twitter, you'd be able to get that information, right? So it's just a way to get information that you're interested in, right? It's like, I don't know, a good comparison I would say would be like a newspaper with headlines that you are interested in or interested in, okay? Just only headlines you're interested in, right? Most of us pick up a newspaper. Some of you guys are like, what's a newspaper? I haven't read one of those for a long time, right? But if you can imagine an old school newspaper, it's like flipping through a newspaper just with stuff that only you're interested in. A lot of us would scan through it and skip over the stuff we're not, but looking through the stuff you're interested in, yeah. Laura, you say you feel like Facebook is better. Yeah, some people prefer Facebook for sure, but they sort of have different uses to some extent. Robert says getting daily updates for technology and even local updates. Yeah, for sure. We talked about that last week. If you like a restaurant locally and you follow them on Twitter, sometimes they'll tweet out lunch specials or discounts or coupons or whatever. Giselle can't figure out how to do a retweet. We'll talk about that. Good way to keep in touch with business associates and companies. I agree, Megan. Yeah, for sure. Sports updates, definitely. I follow a lot of sporting clubs, athletes, and stuff. Okay, good. So okay, well, let's summarize what we talked about here. So we're going to say like real time, you get instant updates. I went to give you an example of that, I went to an NBA Summer League event this week. Up in Salt Lake City, they have the Summer League for the NBA, for professional basketball. And I went up to that event, and one of the players got injured toward the end of the game, and everybody was sort of concerned and wondering what was going on. Well, a little later on that night, the news broke about how the injury was, and it was broke through Twitter. A tweet was sent out from this player letting everybody know how they're doing, and boom, it was instant. So, like, it's a way to get direct news. Otherwise, like, that news might come from some reporter on the inside that then reports it to a local station that then reports it to you. But you can sort of get that news just direct and right to the point. So not a big deal, but at real time, I guess that's what I'm trying to illustrate. Okay, So, I was going to write one other thing. I guess emphasis on only things that you're interested in. That's kind of the first thing we wrote, but I'll write it again. Okay, and it's useful to everybody for a different reason. We sort of talked about that last week. Okay, so I want to talk about this, how to start. Okay, so we threw this in at the very tail end, but I want to talk about how to start for just a second. For you guys that just created your account this past week, how did you start? Apart from going and registering at Twitter, you'd go to twitter.com and create an account for yourself. Okay, but on a personal level, how did you start using Twitter? What was the first thing you did? And this would be the first thing that I recommend for everybody to do. Yeah, set up your profile. I wasn't even thinking about that, Angela, but that's a good point. We ought to set up our profile, which would be like add profile picture, maybe a banner, add some information about yourself. Okay, we'll probably talk about that here in just a second. Follow people. Okay, good. Last week I said this. Find your people. Okay, what do I mean by that? I mean follow people and things that you're interested in. Right? Celebrities, news agencies, restaurants, athletes, organizations, right? Whatever's interesting to you, follow those people. Okay? Twitter makes suggestions on who to follow. They do. Yep. Do a tweet. I agree, Angela, for sure. I would say even before that, find your people, and then number 3, check your timeline. That's the whole thing with Twitter. Once you've followed people, whatever those people tweet out, that information goes into your timeline, right? What am I talking about? If I go to my personal Twitter here, if I go to the home button, it shows my timeline right here, okay? And the only thing that shows up on my timeline is stuff from people that I'm interested in, right? 23 minutes ago, I followed the San Francisco 49ers, and they tweeted these pictures out, right? That's interesting to me because that's my NFL team, right? I scroll down here. 26 minutes ago, I follow the Harvard Business Review. They tweeted something out. 32 minutes ago, I follow Rudy Gobert, a basketball player. 36 minutes ago, I follow Market Watch, and they tweeted out something about the market, right? So so this is just stuff that's interesting to me, right? So check your timeline. Like I'll log in now, and I've been using Twitter a lot more lately, but I'll log in and I'll just briefly check my timeline. If I want to kill like 5 or 10 minutes, kind of like a lot of what you guys would do on Facebook probably. You want to go kill 10 or 15 minutes, you hop onto Facebook and you burn that time in a second, right? I kind of do that on Twitter. It's for entertainment purposes, right? Maybe it's for news. A lot of people get their news from Twitter, right? Just check your timeline. I guess that's my point. So you go to the home button on your Twitter page, you look up your timeline. Okay? This is something. How many of you guys here have a smartphone of some sort? A Samsung, Galaxy, or an iPhone? I bet the majority of you guys do. How many have a smartphone? Yeah? Why do you guys do? There's a few no's. I respect that, Susan. I saw that no. I definitely respect that. You're definitely in the minority. Looks like most people do. Okay, so I would go download the app. Okay. That way you can run it from your phone. I mean, I think the majority, I can't remember the statistic, but I saw a statistic once, the majority of people who use Twitter, tweet about things, whatever, they manage it from their phone. So I would have it on your phone. So download the app. We'll probably do a webinar on how to use the app at some point. You can do it just fine from the computer. Get it on your phone though, and it's a little easier. You can sort of check it on the go, right? Okay. And then I agree. I'll just add this, Angela. Per your suggestion, we'll say do a tweet, share something. It's going to feel a little empty at first. If you share something and you have no followers, virtually nobody's going to see it, right? Okay. Let's go through some definitions, okay? And then we'll use it. I just feel like we've got to go through some of these basics here. So definitions, stuff that you would hear used on Twitter or done on Twitter. So we know what a tweet is, right? That's a message. 140 characters. Right, that's this right up here. So if I wanted to update everybody, I could come to my home screen. It says what's happening right here. I put my mouse in here and I can compose a tweet, right? Hello, everybody. Just testing this out, okay? All right. So, but I can add a photo to make the tweet a little more interesting if I want. And you'll notice a lot of times people are using photos. It certainly makes your tweets more interesting. You don't always have to use a photo though, right? But that would be what a tweet is. With this much information, I've got 100 characters left. Okay, so I could go a little bit longer. I could, if I wanted to. That's about 140 right there. Okay, that's about as long as you can go. Can't go longer than that. Now you could do a series of tweets. I could hit the tweet button and send that out and then do another one, but usually, I mean, the whole magic behind Twitter is everything's short. It's forced brevity. You can't be long-winded in any of your messaging, and that's part of the magic, I guess. Okay, so that's a tweet. What about what's this? What's a Twitter handle? If somebody says, "Hey Barbara, what's your Twitter handle?" You respond by saying what? Or if somebody says, "Hey," who else has one here? Laura, right? What's your Twitter handle, Laura? You respond and say, "Follow me on Twitter." What? At your name, right, Robert? So you find me at Trevor Shipp on Twitter, right? Find Barbara at SheilaDogTC at Twitter. Find Laura at LJMBear. Michelle's at ProLady2010, right? That's your handle. That's how people can find you. So, for example, let's say, Michelle, do you mind? Are you on Twitter right now, Michelle? I'm gonna do you and Barbara here, because I know Barbara. We need to get some practice with you. Do you have your Twitter up, Michelle? You do. Okay, go get there. Barbara, you're on Twitter right now, aren't you? Yeah. Okay. So if I wanted to bring something to Barbara's attention here, okay? Let's say I wanted to make sure Barbara knew about my webinar tomorrow. I would say I would put her name, so at SheilaDogTC. I think that's right. Am I right on that, Barbara? Is that you? And then I might even do I'll do Michelle as well. ProLady2010. Let's do somebody else. Laura, we'll do you. LJMBear. Yep. There's Laura. Oh, Sheila Dog C. Right? Is that better? The case doesn't matter. So I can just do all lowercase, which is what I'm going to do. All right, I'll do Robert as well. Romo Joe 61, right? Now this is actually taking up characters. I'm down to 97 now. But I'm going to say, hey, remember tomorrow's webinar is at 12 Mountain Time. See you there. It's about eBay. Okay, right? I can do that. And then let's hit tweet. Okay, so you guys that I mentioned there, and that's what this is. They call that a mention. It's gonna basically notify those 4 people about this. So all of you guys, and tell me if this works. Check your Twitter. Make sure you got a notification. And maybe respond back too. Mention me in one, and we'll test it out. See what happens up here in my notifications. Oh, looks like you guys are getting it. Michelle got it. Robert got it. Okay. See my notifications up here? If I click on notifications, we'll see if, there you go. There's Laura. Yahoo, can't wait. Okay, so I got that because she hit me with one of these. And then she also hit these people. So Michelle, Robert, Barbara, you guys should have seen that too, right? So that's the nice thing. Like, if I want to catch somebody's attention, right, you can always just mention them, and they'll get some sort of a notification. Now, celebrities, right, politicians, athletes, really, really big, popular organizations, they probably get mentioned all the time. So, you know, it's likely that, you know, they may see it or glance at it, but you can't expect busy people to respond to every one of yours, right? But what's funny about it is more often than not, you'll hear about people that do respond directly back to you. Just like Laura said earlier. I've got 5 notifications now. Connie, yep. Connie's got it. Yep. There's a mention. There's a mention. There's a mention. Okay, see that? So here's what I can do though. So let's do this. Let's do it with Michelle here. So here's Michelle, Pro Lady 2010, right? So here's what I can do. I can just hit the reply right here, and I can respond directly back to her, which makes it easy because then it puts the @Pro Lady 2010, and I can say, here's an example of a reply. Hey, Michelle. Okay, and I can tweet at Michelle, and you can sort of have a running conversation. So Michelle, when you get that, just respond back to me, and so we can all see what that looks like. And I can do that with this. This is Barbara. This is yours, I think. I'll reply to you. Hey, Barbara. Right? Okay. See that? It's so easy with the little reply button. I don't even have to remember, you know, what your handle is. There's Connie right there. I don't need to know. Here's Connie's handle, but I don't need to know it. I can just hit reply. See? Pretty easy, right? So it's pretty cool the way we can respond back as quickly as we are. There we go. There's Julian. Bruce here. There's Robert right there. So pretty cool the way it's instant too, right? If I were on my phone and I had my notifications turned on, I would get these instantly. It's just you know, and this is what people do. These big companies have people that peruse Twitter, right? See, there you go. So if there's a conversation that took place, like I did this with these 3 right here, For example, Michelle's, I can hit view conversation, and it's going to show our little conversation that we've had. Here was my first message. Here was Michelle's response. There's me responding back. And then there's her last response. And it timestamps it. That was 4 minutes ago, 3 minutes ago, 2 minutes ago, 57 seconds ago, right? So kind of cool. Kind of cool how instantaneous it is. Now, to take this, to sort of maybe make more sense of how we can use this, and this will help out from a business standpoint. When you're writing a tweet, you can also do a hashtag. Now, tell me, guys, what does a hashtag actually do? What is a hashtag? Somebody explain that to me real quick. Yeah, we can look at photos here in a sec for sure, Angela. We'll probably do one on just general design. We'll see how much time we have because I know we're running short on time, but we may look at that for sure. So Giselle, you said you couldn't see my tweet on your account. That's probably because I didn't mention you. Giselle, remind me, what's your handle? What's your Twitter handle? Because unless you're following me, you probably wouldn't see that at all anyway. You got to be following me to see any of my tweets, or I have to directly reference you, like I did with these others here. Okay, Judy, yours is JUD151. Let's do one for you then. I'm going to respond here, and I'm going to mention you in this one too, at JUD151. There we go. Tweet at you guys. You guys ought to get a notification on that. Okay, so hashtags. Hashtag looks like this, right? There you go. Connie has no idea what a hashtag is used for. All right, let's respond back to Connie. First of all, if I click this right here, I just click that little star. It's kind of like it's Twitter's version of like a thumbs up. You know how Facebook you can like something? Well, on Twitter you can favorite something. So I like what Connie said there, so I just favorited her tweet. What does that mean? Not much other than it adds a little 1 next to the star. It just means one person liked it. Kind of like a like on Facebook. So I'll respond back and I'll say hashtags are for, what are they for, guys? How should I answer Connie here? Yeah, how about a subject of the tweet? Hashtag, does that make sense? I just did one, right? Hashtag Twitter. Notice when I do a hashtag, you always start with the little number or the pound sign. And then you can't put spaces in your hashtag. You have to put all the words together, which is why they get a little annoying. Who said they were annoying earlier? Was that Laura? Was that you? Oh, you said you hate hashtags. It's emphasizing a word or a phrase that's deemed important. Yeah, that's true. How about this? Hashtag I hate hashtags. Right, so what's interesting about this is if I tweet this back at Connie, okay, see how these are now clickable, these hashtags that I find that I just created? If I click, does that make sense? Here's what it's going to do. It's going to bring up other people's tweets that use that same hashtag. Okay, so here's Britt. I don't know who Britt is, but she says, yet the reason we stopped talking was because your ex was still in the picture. She tweeted at this person right here, whoever this person is, and then with the hashtag, does that make sense? So it's a way of classify your tweet. I can click on that and I can see all the other people here This was done on July 6th, July 5th, July 5th, July 5th, July 3rd, July 2nd, July 2nd, all the other people that actually use that hashtag. And you can use as many as you want to answer your question, Ruth. Okay, so what if more practical application of a hashtag, right? There's Josephine. And I'll respond back. Okay. So, what was I going to say? Oh, so as far as a hashtag is concerned, so for example, I'm a basketball fan, right? Since I'm in Utah, I follow the Utah Jazz. And if I want to find fans that are talking about things that the Jazz are doing, the hashtag that everybody uses is hashtag Jazz Nation. So what I could do is I could create a tweet, okay? So let's create one real quick. Let's go up here to the top right, or right here under what's happening. And I could say I loved watching the Utah Jazz in Summer League this week, okay? Because I went to the Summer League game on Monday. And then I can do hashtag Jazz Nation, okay? Now if I put that hashtag there, that's going to put my tweet, classify it with all the other people out there that use Jazz Nation. So if I tweet that, okay, if I click on Jazz Nation, my tweet will probably come up there. Here's Jazz Nation. I'll come up here just in a second, but you can see everybody else. These would be other Utah Jazz fans, right, that use that same hashtag. And so very quickly I can find other people that I have a similar interest to and read about stuff related to the Utah Jazz, if that makes sense, right? I can scroll down, I can see all these people all using that same hashtag, Jazz Nation, right? You guys see that? We'll see if my tweet came up yet. Not yet. I'll refresh it. There it is. See that? 49 seconds ago. There's my name. There's my Twitter handle. And because I use that hashtag, right, I come up here in this group of tweets. So it's a way to classify or organize all the information that's out there. If you have no followers, right, you just barely opened up your Twitter account and you're starting to share information about things you're interested in, if you use the hashtag and put something relevant there, there's a possibility that people may find you, right? When everybody was watching the World Cup game on I think it was on Sunday, the Women's World Cup final, right? Huge ratings. In fact, it had better ratings, I heard, than the NBA Finals recently. So a lot of people were watching it. Well, if you wanted to join the conversation while things were happening, you could get onto Twitter and you could write out a tweet. If you followed it with hashtag World Cup, chances are you would find yourself in the mix of all sorts of different people that are tweeting about the same thing, right? Anyway, so that's the questions about that, guys. Does that make sense? That's kind of what the hashtag is for. Okay, what about this one? No, you've got let me check my notifications real quick. Maybe some of you guys responded back to me. There you go. Josephine's second tweet in 2 years, right? I'll favorite that. Congratulations. See, there you go. Angela just favorited that tweet of mine, right? And I get that notification. So that's interesting, right? If you favorite somebody else's tweet, they're going to get notified that you did. Okay? And then it shows other people that followed me recently, right? So talk to me about that real quick, guys. We've mentioned it before, but what's a follower, right? What does that mean? Okay, so if I come here to Angela, I'm going to click on your profile. I hope you don't mind. If I come here and click follow on Angela, what does that mean now? Right? What kind of magic happens now that I followed Angela? And yes, Jeff, or sorry, no, you don't have to do a hashtag. It's just optional. If you want to organize your tweet, help it get found a little bit better, a hashtag is going to do that. Yeah, so let's say, right, I'm friends with Angela here. Maybe I'm interested in some of the things that Angela has to say. Angela's a celebrity, right? We'll say she's a celebrity. I'm really interested in following her and the things that she does. Well, now that I'm following her, if I go to my home screen, I'm going to be able to see just like this. I guess you did this just 3 minutes ago, Angela. I can now see that in my news feed, right? There you go. So I can start seeing her updates. So that's the magic behind getting a lot of followers. If you have a lot of people that are following you, and this is going to be where, it's valuable from a business standpoint. If your business page can manage to muster up a bunch of followers, well, every single time you relay a tweet, all of your followers can potentially see that tweet that you send out, right? Now, it's not going to guarantee that I see everything that Angela sends out. That's the thing about followers that's, that doesn't make sense, I guess, to a lot of my clients. I may have on this account of mine 445 followers, but just because I send out a tweet, it doesn't mean that all of them are going to see it. They have to be logged in at a time where they can see it, because if they're following a lot of people, it's going to get buried in a hurry. See, I'm only following 39 people on this account, right? And now that I'm following Angela, right, she's my 39th. I was 38 before. So I'll probably be able to see her updates pretty easily. If I were following thousands of people, if she tweeted something out, it would get buried in a hurry because I'm following so many other people, if that makes sense. So, followers are important, but they're not sort of the be-all, end-all. You'll work as a business, of course, to build your list of followers as you go. No doubt about it. Okay? Sorry, I'm just reading through some of your guys' comments here. Yeah, okay, so this I definitely agree with. I'm going to read yours here in just a second, Laura. I like your comment there. But let's just go back after having this discussion so far. There's still some other little things that I want to comment on, but we're running short on time. There's a section up here where I could try it with Angela. I can actually direct message Angela. So right here, if I go to Angela's profile, I can come here and I can tweet at her, which means that everybody else will see my tweet and then Angela will be notified of it. Or I can come in here and I can do a direct message. Now, if I direct message Angela, she's the only one that's going to see this message. This isn't going to be public, right? So I can hit test right here, send out message, and it's almost like a chat. The minute Angela responds back, if you're still here, Angela, get on and respond back to that so everybody can see. This is a private conversation now, just between she and I. This isn't public. Whereas everything else on Twitter is basically public. A direct message is going to stay totally private, just between the two parties. Okay, so that's something you guys can do too. Okay, so back to our notes for just a second here. Here's your options, okay? Using Twitter options, I'm going to call this, okay? Number one, you can do what a lot of people do, and to some extent what I've done over the years with my own Twitter account on a personal level, and you can we'll just say sit back and watch, okay? Which means follow people, check your timeline, and not interact. Get news, etc., okay? A lot of people use Twitter very casually that way. They don't go for the social aspect as much. They just watch and they keep up to date on people and things that they care about. Okay, that's one option. Your second option is to be someone who shares. Okay, so you might be that person who gets on, and maybe you do some sitting back and you watch, but you also share. So you tweet. That could be pictures. That could be news. That could be, I mean, anything, right? I mean, there's no rule on what you can share on a personal level, right? Share things that are interesting to you, opinions, I suppose your politics, right? People do that on Twitter all the time. People get in trouble for saying some pretty stupid stuff every once in a while, especially those people in the media, but you can get on and you can share, okay? Or you can sort of, and this is going to be what we want to have you guys do from a business standpoint. You can be social, right? So that means, and this goes back to what you said. I'll just read your comment here, Laura. You can favorite people's tweet and favorite people's comments, and those people may possibly take an interest in you. They may read and respond to your comments, right? They'll get to know you a little bit better. You have to be somewhat social on Twitter to really get any sort of a following, right? So if I just get on there and occasionally just share something, I'm probably not going to get a lot of people that are going to follow me unless I'm famous, right? I'm a movie star, I'm a famous athlete, and I'm a politician, right? People are going to follow you just because they want to follow you. But if you're just a normal person, nobody's going to care about you, right? Not unless you get on and actually socialize. So it reminds me a little of this, right? We've all been maybe in a conversation that worked like this. If you've ever met somebody for the first time, and as you're having a conversation with that person, have you ever met a person that only likes to talk about themselves and that's it? Right? You get in a conversation and it's completely and utterly one-sided. They just talk about themselves. They don't ask any questions. They're clearly just interested in number one, right? And you can compare that to a Twitter account that only shares information and doesn't get on and socialize. If you want to get noticed from a personal level, and then even this bleeds into using Twitter from a business standpoint, if you want to get noticed, you need to get on and do sort of what Laura suggested and just what we were doing on Twitter here just a second ago. You have to be kind of social, right? There you go. See, Angela's scoring some serious points right now. So there you go. You have to be social. You have to use direct messaging. You have to favorite people's tweets, right? You can reply to people's tweets. They'll reply to you. You can follow people. You mention people, right, with the @ symbol and then whatever their Twitter handle is, @ whatever, right? If you're social, you're going to get noticed, you're going to get followers, you're going to, and anyway. So that's the way to really grow your Twitter account if you want to grow it from a personal standpoint, and it works very similar from a business level too, okay? Okay, so let me make sure I didn't miss anything here. Oh, a retweet, by the way. One last thing. This little symbol right here, this is the retweet symbol. Somebody asked me about this earlier. Let's say I really like what Angela says right here. If I click this symbol, I basically take her quoted tweet and I send it out to all of my followers, right? So I really like what Angela says here. I hit the retweet. I can even comment and say, I really loved what you said here. I love Le Tour de France too, right? Hashtag biking or whatever, okay? That would show up on my news feed. It would show up for everybody who's following me to see. So that's a retweet. If you want to quote somebody, you retweet, okay? Okay, wow, we've been going at this for nearly an hour. So I'm not going to do any more tonight. We're just about over time, but hopefully you can see a little bit better now that we've practiced how you can use Twitter for yourself. You know what? Figure it out for yourself, because everybody has a different reason for using it. And I've mentioned that several times before. If you guys didn't practice it or use it this week or didn't set up your account, set up your personal account, start using it, and see if you can find some practical application. Next week, let's look at it. I'm not sure what I'll do, so don't quote me on this, but I'm either going to look at sort of the design of your profile page, right? So here's my profile page right here. Right, like you got a little icon, you got a little banner here in the back, right? You've got some information about yourself. Okay, so there's your profile page. We may talk about the design, and Angela, I meant to get to that. We'll get to that a little bit more hopefully next week, or we're going to start talking about it from a business standpoint. Ultimately, I mean, I'm not here just to teach you guys how to have fun on Twitter. I want to teach you guys how to use it to help yourself make money online. So that'll be hopefully what we do over the next couple of weeks. All right? Okay, so everybody, I sure appreciate you being here. Find for yourself why you're going to use it. Get some practice and start. We'll talk about it more Thursday night. If you guys want, come to the webinar tomorrow. We'll be doing it on eBay. I'm not sure on the topic yet, but Fridays we do eBay, so come along, and we will see all of you guys next time. Thanks for coming along. See ya.